We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Bam.
The second season of CSI Vegas is upon us, and unlike the other stuff that I usually talk about with Pondering Pilots, I will not be talking about this series episode by episode by episode, because typically when it comes down to any kind of CSI, it's very, very episodic. Every episode is essentially the same thing. You get the idea, and it basically stays with that throughout the season. But I did want to talk about what makes Season 2, and how it differs from the first season, and if I think it'll last or not. So let's talk about that. So, Season 2 is a little bit different. It follows the same format, of course, from CSI Vegas Season 1, and of course CSI Crime Scene Investigation. But the main difference between CSI Vegas Season 1 and Season 2 is that Grissom and Sarah Seidel are no longer at the forefront. They aren't in the show anymore. They decided they weren't going to return, and in their place we have Catherine Willows once again. There's also a few other new faces throughout the episode that you get to meet, and the mystery at the heart of the episode has something to do with some dead person in a room full of mirrors, and that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to really talk about the mystery of the episode. You can watch it for yourself. It's not really that engaging. What I wanted to talk about was what makes this Season 2. You know what I mean? Because what happened with the first season, and what made it so different from the original series, was that it wasn't fully episodic. There was a seasonal arc that they followed from the beginning all the way to the end. The first season had to do with a wrongful conviction of murder for one of the original cast members of the original show. And throughout the episode, they had to figure out, did he do it, did he not do it? And they just let the science decide for them. This season has a seasonal arc as well that's introduced at the last second of the episode, and that is Catherine Willows had this protege that she worked with at the casinos. She found that this girl reminded her a lot of herself at a younger age, but somewhere down the line this girl goes missing and nobody seems to care. So she gets kicked out of the casino business all around, and then she joins CSI again because she specifically wants to use the tools that they have to find whatever happened to this girl. We also see by the end of the episode that she is indeed dead. She's getting buried, and it's possible that the casino business is behind it. We don't know anything other than that. That's fine, but I do have a problem with the seasonal arc. It just seems like an episode of CSI, because this protege of Catherine Willows, she's not an original cast member. She's a completely random actress. When do you find random actresses in the show? When they're just random victims every other episode. So the heart of the seasonal arc isn't really there. You had much more of a stake when you watched the first season because it was a character that you actually knew and cared about already. They introduced this random character hoping that you would care about them and want to see them well or justice brought against their killer. I don't have that though, because it just seems to be a random character, and that's it. Past that, the original CSI show failed because what happened? Grissom left. When Grissom left the original show, it had a Michael Scott problem with The Office, because when Steve Carell left The Office, what happened? They had to replace him somehow. So in The Office, they replaced him with what? James Spader, right? A celebrity. What happened in CSI when Grissom left? They had to replace him with a celebrity. Who? Lawrence Fishburne. When their time ran out, what happened? James Spader left, Lawrence Fishburne left. What happened after that? They had to use one of the original cast members to replace him. In The Office, they used Ed Helms' character, Andy Bernard. He became the new boss. In CSI, it was Catherine Willows. And in both cases, the show just wasn't the same anymore. It was written similarly. Yes, they did the same things, they had the same jokes in The Office, they had the same kind of mystery and science in CSI, but it just wasn't the same because the heart wasn't there anymore. Eventually, The Office was canceled. Eventually, CSI was canceled. The point is, Catherine Willows, she's a natural born leader. She plays boss really, really well, but her character just isn't interesting enough to keep the show afloat. Grissom had that weird fascination with bugs. For some reason or another, that kept the show afloat. His weird perception of things in the original show kept it going. It wasn't the science of the show. I mean, that was interesting enough. The mysteries of the show, that was interesting enough as well. But honestly, CSI was never the same again when Grissom left. And they did the same thing with CSI Vegas. Not only that, they took Sarah Sato with them. They took them both with CSI Vegas, and they replaced them with the same character they replaced them with in the original show, Catherine Willows. What are they thinking? I have no problem against her as a regular character. I just don't think she's ever had the same heart and soul that Grissom had. I truly don't think she has what it takes to keep the show afloat, just because she's an original cast member. The only reason why CSI Vegas worked in the first place is because of the gimmick that they got back Grissom. And just like before, he's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna stick around for longer than one season, come on now. And so everybody crosses their fingers and they're like, okay, Catherine Willows it is. I actually think this change is devastating to the series. I don't think it'll live longer than 2 seasons. There's always a possibility because CSI was always one of CBS's top performers just in general, but I don't think CSI Vegas is. I actually think in general it struggled to get that second season. I think the second season's also going to struggle to get a third, but without Grissom, I don't think they have the legs to stand on. I think this will be the last season of CSI Vegas. I'll still watch it because, in general, I am a fan of CSI. I'm just gonna be a little bit disappointed because quite a few people are not in the show anymore. This episode was fine. It was nothing eye-opening. It was nothing to make me go, whoo! The overall series arc is fine. I was expecting something a lot more strong than what we got. But yeah, when it comes down to everything that I watch in a standard week, when it comes down to TV, this is not the first thing that'll come to mind. It's not the first thing that I'll want to watch. It is what it is, guys. What did you think about CSI Vegas Season 2? Are you still watching the show? Are you a little bit aggravated that Grissom isn't returning? Do you even care? Am I just like a weird person for wanting Grissom to keep staying on the show because he's like the heart and soul of the show? Am I just weird? Let me know. I guess I'll see you next time for my next TV review. And until then, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell to be notified. And until then, peace out.